Now I've got a chance to kind of get in there and, put up or shut up. And I like that. I like putting pressure on myself. That to me, that's fun. I like the idea of being able to collaborate with Jared and Court and his team. That's a different kind of vibe that I miss.
So I guess you see the creative process just kind of going like you guys sitting down and everybody throwing out ideas. It's not and just seeing what you all can come up with together kind of for this show.
Well, this is a little different because it's a one-off show,
Right.
right?
And
It's,
and
it's
your name's on the banner here.
yeah, yeah. Well, comes with the territory, doesn't it? But for me, it's I don't know the backstories of the talents.
Right.
I don't know where they've been. Okay, that's really Court and Jared. That's their world. My role in this really is going to be taking the story that they have or they've had and presenting it in a way that just feels a little different. I'm hoping to do backstage interviews a little different than they normally do them because everybody does them the same way and they all suck pretty much. Because I mean, some are better than others, but it's always that, got a person there standing there holding a stick mic and, you talk about you and then you talk about
Right.
him and ah, ah. But there's different ways of doing that. So I want to do that. And I think the way we thread stories throughout a show, particularly a wrestling show, is something that doesn't get enough attention sometimes from producers. So I'm anxious to do that. I'm anxious to work with the talent and see if I can bring out a little bit different parts of their character, no matter what they're doing. Those are the things that I'm most focused on as opposed to who's going to win what match, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Was there an attractiveness to this show being in New York City, where obviously when you were with WCW, that was a place you couldn't, you know, really go near because of WWE's kind of hold on it?
There's an energy with New York crowds that's different. It's not always better, but it's different. And my experience with New York crowds has been really, really fun. Sometimes on the just on the edge of dangerous, but that's kind of fun too.
Yes.
I'll never forget being at the ECW show at a Hammerside Ballroom, for WWE. And I was surrounded by, I don't know how many people were in there. It was sold out, but I'm not a bigger, 800 people, 1,000 people. And pretty much every one of them wanted to kick my ass. So that was fun.
With how sophisticated WWE now, obviously when you're in WCW, it was, hey, how do I be different than WWE? Is there a way to do that now, or have they become so big and sophisticated that it's hard to kind of pinpoint, well, I can do this differently than them?
It's not as easy now, but it's still very possible. And different doesn't always mean bigger, by the way.
Right.
But the truth is, if you would have asked me that question in 2018 or through 2019, I would have laughed and said, "Oh, hell yeah. Here's my list. Watch
Right.
this." But WWE now they've got very, very disciplined, nuanced story. The discipline that I see in their storytelling is pretty amazing from week to week. Um, Obviously, from a production point of view, yeah, it's going to make it harder, but still, oh yeah, there are ways, and that's where that's where the art comes in. Otherwise, it's a science. You're just putting things together and watching it work. The art comes in, and again, finding out what can I do differently that the audience is going to embrace as opposed to reject.
If you had one shot with AEW and WWE to change kind of one thing going in, what would it be?
I would make people, I would make people sit in a room and say, okay, I would ask them, what's your vision for this brand? Tell me the one thing you want this brand. Don't tell me how much you want to achieve and how much money you want to make. What's the one thing when someone describes your product, you want them all to say? AEW, I like AEW because, and make sure that because is big. It's got to be a statement. It can't be just, I like it because of the wrestling matches. Okay. You're welcome to the 10% of the audience. Focus on story, focus on the discipline that's clearly lacking. Focus on the characters. They're all kind of the same. They all look like they left Jiffy Lube for lunch. No offense to Jiffy Lube or the talent, because they're not being required. They're, it's just like everybody shows up and does what they think is going to work that night.